Brandon Zachary with Comic Book Resources. John, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I love that we're immediately just off the rails.
It's not much of a non sequitur, but
but starting off, congratulations on the film.
Oh, thank you.
I got to see it last week. It is tremendous. You are tremendous in the film, especially because you are very self-contained within the film itself. It's our interview, I think, is longer than your screen time.
Yes, if it was played by a shorter guy, it might not have been as good. Had to be big.
So I kind of wanted to start with, you don't get a huge amount of time with Boris compared to the rest of the cast. You know, like Michelle gets a lot more time to kind of figure out the character. Paul gets a lot more time. Gabriel gets a lot of time. And you really just got to really pull this character out of a hat, basically. You had to, like, make us see a fully fledged person so quickly. So I'm so curious, when you're approaching a role like that, does that affect the performance at all, knowing how much time you're going to have with them? Does that?
Well, in this one, it was kind of almost written as a monologue, although there were slight interruptions with the kid, right? But it was really written as almost a monologue. And so when I saw it before we did it, I thought, oh crap, are they going to get tired of listening to me talk because they won't understand a word I'm saying as far as what I'm meaning, because it's really circuitous stuff. It's not direct, you know what I mean? Foreign, coming from a foreign guy, speaking in a foreign language, and I'm thinking, oh boy, the only thing I can hope for is they're not going to be bored. Then I get together with Steven, and he said, well, no, of course we're going to shoot it. We're not going to shoot it in one take. Okay. He said, there is coverage.
There's going to be other perspectives, other angles.
Right. Oh, then we can make it a little bit more specific. I'll have a chance to think about what I'm talking about.
Get to really dive into it.
Yes.
And I was speaking of Steven, because this is such a personal film from him. All of these characters are kind of riffing on elements of his own life, his own memories. And what was it like working with him to kind of bring Boris to life, to have this character who he clearly, Steven has such a clear idea of who this person is and how the impact that he has on. What was it like kind of finding that with him?
Yeah, well, it was like friendly, very friendly. I don't think he knows how to be any other way. It's like you're doing him a favor. I'm not kidding. I felt I'm doing him a favor. I would like to know how much this favor will feel. So there's always a question, because there's a space between me and the one who says it's good, bad, and it equals this, right? So my constant question was, is it like that? Is it something like that? No answer. Didn't have an answer. Didn't need an answer. Didn't want an answer. And I went, okay, I'll just keep going on. Then the license becomes more, I could exaggerate what my point can be. I can exaggerate it. Instead of being this rolling train that's coming along and and it's going to crash or whatever, I could be the airplane that flies in, ethereally in the air, right? You could choose one of those. I mean, I could have chose one of the basements, a man who grumbles. No. If you're going to be inspirational, you better pick the avenue to walk to be inspirational, right? So I wasn't going to be the train. I accepted it. Always felt like I was.
For me, yeah. Well, speaking of somebody who's seen the film playing all the way, that was one of my favorite parts of the film. In this was the notebook I had when I was watching the film. There was a section that just says, "Damn, Judd!" Like that was such a good scene. Like you bring such good energy to it.
Yeah.
So I love that though. If you're going to be an inspiration, you really do have to match it, because you do just destroy Gabriel's perspective on everything.
Big fear. You can only get some in the first reading when you first read the script. It's one like this, where it's very difficult to understand your purpose. And the worry was, as I said before, am I going to be a lion walking in and a lion walking out? No? Okay, I'll be saved. But what's the kid going to be like? How is he going to receive me? Is it going to all be, don't do this to me? Well, in a way it was. And it had to be I said, I'll leave it up to Steven. He'll know whether it's too much. He'll know. He doesn't want to die as the kid in the scene, right? Certainly. So that's the direction. That's really a direction. In the air, how he makes things turn out, not how you do it. All right? So he can fix that. He can fix it with a camera angle.
Because it changes.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because it speaks to the end of the film where they kind of bring up, the difference of the angle will affect how you perceive the film. It's every frame is a painting kind of concept.
Yeah. I said, I squeezed the kid's face. I said, what? He said, no, do it.
It felt real. I felt that. I've been in that moment. Yeah, it felt real.
I was not. I didn't love that. Doing it, but it was like there was a guy somewhere in my past who did that to me when I was a kid, in the good way. Oh, you're so. So okay, all right, I'll do that.
I could bring that energy. Well, that was something else I actually really wanted to bring up, because this. And this may just be speaking to the amazing performance, but Boris feels so lived in, he feels so real. So I'm so curious, that speech is so simultaneously heartbreaking and inspirational, that like you're going to be a great artist, you have to burn out the heart in you.
That's right.
Like, did you draw on anything in particular? Was there anybody in your past, was there any experiences in your past that you kind of brought? Do you think Boris is right?
Yeah, because he knew what it was like, because he had to go through it himself. The first part is tearing yourself away from what people expected you to do, so that you could do it, right? And he came to tell him, family you'll love, but don't let them do that to you. You will leave. You will do it anyway. Okay. That we know, and it probably happened in many, many, many households for people who all of a sudden became greater than they ever expected, okay? So what happened to Steven? And it was obvious to this old uncle that he's going to have to come in there and tell him what he already knew because he's young, in some futuristic way. It's almost like saying, there's a grenade in you, and it's going to go off, and you're not even going to know when. So don't think you can run from it. It's gonna go off. That's the message. And you see, if it's good drama, don't answer it. Don't show the actual, let it be successful. But later, you'll see what happened for it. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's why he wrote it. That's why they wrote it that way. Mm-hmm. My question was, oh my God, why would they write it that way? And then you do it, and then you realize something, right? Then you got to see the whole movie. and then you got to see what the effect of it is. Oh, I got it, right? And if you talk to Tony Kushner, and he wasn't very specific about anything, not really. He wasn't going to talk about what all of these things he wrote with Steven. He wasn't going to talk about that. Not to me. I'd sit with him every day. Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out his head and why. How did that stuff get there? And he doesn't say. So I'm looking at a guy who's saying, it's exactly what I want. It's exactly what we want.
It's like learning a math lesson when you're a kid and you go, this is the correct one. How?
Don't ask me. Just play the goddamn part.
So do the word, do the talking.
Yeah. It'll work. Don't worry about it. There's always fear. I don't care what you do. I don't know if you acting any part. There's always fear. It has to be. We live in a very risky little business here.
That is something I also really wanted to bring up, because one of the things I think brought such gravitas to the performance is you have such an amazing career in this industry. You are somebody who's been able to. You're right. Just acting itself is inherently a tricky business. And you've been able to kind of learn so much and grow so much in this field, in this industry. What was it like to kind of get to play with that, to really kind of bring those lessons?
Well, I knew there was a sense of humor involved. I really did. That'll get you out of anything. It really will. But it also gets you into something. It gets you into the reality of the actual humor in it, regardless of whether it's about death or nonsense or spiritual idiocy or anything like that. You know, there's. I mean, look at our government. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Dangerous as it is, stupid as it is, miserable as it is, it's funny. You can't help but, you know, in the midst of anger, in the midst of shouting at a television set, I end up, you know, laughing. How stupid can you be? How mean spirited can you be? And so in the scene, we find that there isn't. There is, right? Now you go figure out the point of view. Was it the point of view of the character, or was it the point of view of the writer? Okay, that's what I mean. It happened. It happened. It could have happened another way, but we, Steven and I, chose the humorous moment. All right, it's not a relief. No.
No, but it is such a. It's the turn. It's this really heart-wrenching, emotional beat that's punctuated with a joke.
The character would have done it no matter what.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember who wrote it, but there's a quote I always go back to. It's the idea that at the end of any day, you're going to be crying or laughing. That's the experience of going out in the world, and I would much rather be laughing.
True. True.
Now, this is something I always ask performers because I love, because no matter what, I always get a different thing. And you touched on it a little bit, but when you first got the part, when you first got to kind of play with Boris, see Boris, get an idea of how you're going to play him, you said yourself there were different avenues, different ways you could have taken the character. What surprised you the most about Boris? What maybe like working with Steven, working with the script, working with Gabriel, working with everybody, what did you find about this character that you maybe didn't initially expect?
It was the moments that I actually played him. The surprises came out after saying any and all of the words, no matter what the take was. Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't easy to say, oh, all I got to do is that, and it'll add up. I kept thinking about, how does it add up? You know? Where is it falling, right? It's almost like saying someone says to you, throw the ball. And you go, where, how? Just throw the ball. And should I do it hard? Should I do it low? Okay, I'll throw a curve. Yeah, like that. Oh, okay. All right. I'll show you. I got a screwball coming up. All right. Yeah. It was surprising.
Oh, I love it.
I was never unsurprised by what we were doing, you know, along with risky, along with hope, along with I hope this is going well, and I can only tell from Steven and his joy, you know.
And that's the thing about the film, I think, that coming out of it, I was almost surprised because it's Spielberg. So there was not every Spielberg film is, necessarily a happy, feel-good film, but there is a certain energy he brings as a filmmaker it's jubilant. There's the joy even in being a teenager getting dumped and beat up on the prom night.
Right.
There's still joys to be found. There's still things to discover.
Well, there was a lot of humor in that, wasn't there? Huh?
Oh God!
It's called anti-Semitism. Ha ha ha.
Oh, the depressing thing is the joke is still being told. Some people don't find it old yet. Oh God.
Someone told that to me one time, and then it made me think of a joke. And then he said, "You guys killed Jesus," and I said, "What the hell did you get that from?" And then it became the joke of these two Jewish guys talking to each other. One of them said, "How many? They say we killed Jesus." He said, "Who? Us? What do you mean? Us? Who did?" And he said, "Maybe the Puerto Ricans." You understand the joke?
And with that, that's what we're gonna.
You want to talk ridiculous?
That's a good one. All right,
Right.
the upstage.
That's the joke on Who Killed Jesus.
Thank you.
I got to say goodbye.